Hi everyone, riding home with me again today, and I wanted to tell you a story, something I hadn't thought about in quite a while, as is true of a lot of these stories that I tell. But it's the story about when Pawpaw Doug tried to teach me to drive for the first time. So we had gone somewhere, all four of us, in this old pickup truck that he had, and I was probably 9, and so he decides that he's going to let me try. Oh, sorry. So we went somewhere way up in the mountains. I mean, it was a long way from home, and to get to wherever it was we were going, and I have no clue, no memory whatsoever of where we were trying to get. But I do know that it was a long way on a paved highway, and then a long way on basically a dirt track across some federal land. And that's all I remember. But it was a long way from anywhere. At least that's what it seemed like to me. And of course, then there were no cell phones. There was no OnStar, anything like that. So if you broke down a long way from anywhere, especially on a road that hardly anyone ever used, you were going to have to walk to get help. So anyway, Pawpaw Doug decides he's going to let me try to learn how to drive this pickup truck. And this pickup truck was a manual transmission, which means for Gussie and Verona that, like with Jenny's car, you have to use a clutch and a gear shift to start the car and change gears. It's not automatic, so you have to use the clutch with your left foot, and your right foot works the gas and the brake. And then to make things even worse, this old pickup truck, you had to let the clutch out a long ways before it started to work. So unlike some cars like that are newer or with better transmissions or aren't 1969 Chevy pickups, you really have to control the letting out of the clutch for quite some time. Okay. So the way that he taught me to work that clutch, which is the way most people do, is you let the clutch out a little bit, the clutch pedal out a little bit at a time with your left foot, and when the transmission starts to catch, then you give the vehicle a little bit of gas. And the idea is that you let the clutch out further and further, and then you give it a little bit more gas, and then you'll start moving down the road. So Gussie and Verona, if you would, you have Jenny and your dad show you exactly what that looks like if you haven't paid attention to when they're driving before. So anyway, all that being said, so I still remember, and like I said, again, 40 some years ago, that I just had a blind panic. I think I put the accelerator down to the floor. I pushed the clutch pedal in, and so like the engine was just racing wide open. And honestly, I think that Pawpaw had a hard time getting me. I mean, I was just in a blind panic. I didn't know what was happening, and so I had the accelerator down to the floor and the engine running wide open long enough that I made the vehicle throw a rod. At least I think that's what happened. I don't know, something really bad broke. So the motor would still run, but just barely. I mean, it was making these horrible noises, clang, 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 clang. And I think that he was wondering if we were even going to be able to make it back home, which we did, but it was a slow, long drive. And I just want to add to this too that Pawpaw Doug has always had a bit of a temper, and he could get angry and yell at you for things that seemed pretty minor. This thing was pretty major. However, I don't think he got angry at all, and I'm guessing it's because he figured it was his fault, or he had responsibility in this because he had, perhaps this was a little over my head at that age. I don't know. But the point is that he didn't get angry, and we drove home, and they got the car fixed, the truck fixed, and I guess that was it. But nonetheless, that was my first experience with trying to drive a vehicle with a manual transmission. And I'm going to put one more little piece of advice here. So Jenny and Katie, when you have children that you're going to start to teach how to drive a manual transmission car, remember the way that I taught you, which is first you learn to start the car just using the clutch on level ground. So you learn control of that clutch first, and then later you can put in the gas there with it, and that'll make things go a lot better for everybody. And finally, my last thought is I did eventually learn how to drive that old truck by myself when I was probably 12. And that's the end of that story. And most of the vehicles I've had as an adult, or many of them, have been manual transmission cars. Okay, that was a long one. Love you. See you later.